What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. The New Orleans Saints, draft time right around the corner. I know you love the draft. And the Saints are officially set to visit with Keon Coleman. We said it yesterday. It's feeling more and more like you're going to have to go O-line in round number one.
Yes.
In light of the Ryan Ramczyk news, you're now potentially down both tackles. Still don't know what's going to happen with Andrews Pete, right? Maybe he finds a way back to this team, but if he does not, you are in pretty dire straits. Underhill going so far as yesterday on the program to say that maybe you go O-lineman with the first two picks. But it seems like positionally, look, even though Dallas Turner maybe early on in the process, you thought you might have a shot at him, he might be the first fender off the board, right? That's not going to happen. And it seems like positionally, Jake, a lot of people have shifted to, O-line and wide receiver. And Keon Coleman becomes interesting in that regard because he's someone that you think would be around potentially in that second round. And he's a guy that a lot of years maybe even go first round. But I don't know about you. I love Keon Coleman. Maybe it's just after suffering at his hands so directly as LSU fans over the last couple of years, but 6'3", had 11 tuds last season. That's with missing time. He returns punts. He's great at contested catches. He's a Louisiana native. So, we don't always talk about that, right? But when you become a professional, one of the big factors in guys kind of making it or not can also be how do you feel about your living conditions, the city, and to be fair, I guess that can work both ways. Maybe sometimes it's better for you to get away from your hometown, eliminate distractions, but maybe sometimes it's better to be back in your home state. Either way, I would be really excited about the potential of a Keon Coleman joining what I already think is a pretty good wide receiver room.
I think Keon Coleman's a really good player. This receiver draft is so deep. It depends on where you want to select that receiver. At 45, I truly think that you can get a starter caliber receiver.
Yeah.
Like somebody that can come in and make an impact right away. Now, which body type do you prefer? Do you prefer somebody, like you mentioned, T-Bob, Keon Coleman, 6'3", 215 pounds, and is a big body? You have Chris Olave, you have Rashid Shaheed. That would be a different body than they are, which, different's good sometimes if you're looking for a different type of receiver. He's somewhere in that 35 to 45 range. He ran a 4.61. To put that in perspective, that was
even slow. Is that?
No, I ran a 4.6 is what I was about to say. So, even slower than a fullback. But he was the fastest during the gauntlet drill. So he hit top speed in the gauntlet drill. So some people are saying,
good football speed.
He still plays fast.
Didn't Puka Nacua not run great last year?
I don't know. I know he did good in the gauntlet.
No. I'm saying I
don't remember the 40.
I believe he didn't have the best 40 time because there's that behind the scenes scene where McVay and them are talking about but look at the game speed.
Right.
Look at him when he's got the pads on. And that kind of speaks to what we're getting at earlier, that 40 is not technically football training.
So it depends. Do you want the 6'3", 215-pound receiver? Troy Franklin from Oregon is going to kind of be in that range. I think Tez Walker from North Carolina will be there. Tez
true.
Walker, I thought, had some good moments at the Senior Bowl. Do you want to go Ricky Pearsall? Do you want to go a receiver that is only 6'1", 190 pounds? It feels like maybe you have that already.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got Olave there. You got Shaheed as your tinier speedster.
If I went smaller receiver in this draft,
A.T. Perry has
45,
height, but he doesn't have the build of a Coleman.
I would go Roman Wilson if I went smaller. Yeah. He was incredible at the Senior Bowl. So was Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall left early because he felt like he'd done enough. That bothers me a little bit. But
Classic
Roman Wilson
Florida
is
guy.
somebody that stayed the entire course and went out there and played well all week long and was the only player to beat Mitchell from Toledo in one-on-ones that I saw the entire week. So
when attacked Quinion.
So he's a player that I would like if you're looking for a smaller receiver. I don't think the Saints are looking for that. I think if you're talking about bigger receiver at 45, Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin, Tez Walker, those are going to be your three options.
And all of the Saints seem to have figured it out. One of the largest areas of improvements by the end of the year last year was red zone. Remember, it was disastrous early on.
Yes.
And 6'3", 215, 11 tuds last season, great at contested catches. What is the exact box that Keon Coleman checks more than no Mike Thomas anymore? Like, that feels like Keon Coleman slots right in there.
Now, if this player is available, I do not think he will be. But the Saints, we all know, they'll move up from 45 if they have to. Xavier Legette from South Carolina. He is 6'1.5", 222 pounds.
Yeah.
And I hate that I'm doing this because it happens all the time. I'm not a fan of it. You compare somebody, and it's like, well, yeah, you are, because he played for South Carolina as well. Deebo Samuel is going to be the player that he comps to. And again, I don't like it, but I think it can be factual. Who is your offense coordinator now?
Kubiak.
Who did he
Deebo.
just? Yeah.
Yeah,
Who did he just have success with?
Yeah.
Right.
Shanahan, Deebo.
Who did he see up close and personal? Right. So Xavier Legette, if you want that Deebo type guy in your offense, you saw what it looks like up close and personal. He's got the same body type, kind of
and he has the speed too.
Yes.
He tested insanely well.
So kind of that receiver, but he can play some running back. We can be creative. Now, I know you've got other creative players in Taysom Hill and other guys on your roster, but if you're like, hey, this gave us so many mismatches, even if when he wasn't giving the ball, it was giving somebody else an opportunity to be open because they knew they had to pay attention to Deebo, then Xavier Legette, who I think is going to go top between 25 and 35, if you feel like you want to be aggressive and move up for him, I would be all for that.
So it's interesting. I think this started as a Keon Coleman specific conversation, but I feel like it's kind of evolved into you probably have some nice options at receiver in round 2. If you want to give Derek Carr another weapon to play with or just try to increase your weapon core going forward, it feels like you can do that. So be interested to see where the Saints end up going in that regard. Not a bad position to be in, though.
And didn't Dennis Allen say in spring meetings that they're looking at pass catchers? And he said we're not looking necessarily just for receivers. He said pass catchers. And so tight end is still, something that if Brock Bowers is there at 14, he might be that kind of player that we're talking about, T-Bob.
Yeah, Brock's tempting enough where I don't give a damn what your needs are.
Exactly.
You have to,
and if he's there
at
at 14,
to explore it.
Then maybe you take a flyer on a Brock. I say flyer just because it's not a position of need, and we haven't seen him because he's been injured in this post-season pre-draft process, but still Brock Bowers put out the best tape of any tight end in recent memory over the last couple of years. And so, maybe a Brock Bowers, or maybe in the third round, if he's still there, a Theo Johnson from Penn State, 6'6", 260, and tore it up there at the Combine.
6'6", 260. Jeez, dude. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.